Okay guys, so for our first animal that we're going to draw and paint, we're going to do the beautiful red cardinal. Let's talk about a little bit about what materials I use when I'm drawing. I really like to take all the pressure off myself, so I use copy paper. This is just cheap copy paper that I use in my printer. It's a little thicker, a little less than cardstock, but a little more than like the absolute cheapest copy paper. But sometimes like this, I even use the cheapest of the cheap. And I just feel like it takes all the pressure off of me. And I stopped using like drawing sketchbooks too, because honestly, a lot of the times I'm just messing around, just playing with ideas, and they come out pretty bad. And I was sick of ripping things out of sketchbooks. So now I just have all these loose papers, and the ones I keep, I like, and the ones I don't like, I pitch them right in the trash can. So do whatever works best for you, but definitely take the pressure off. You don't need expensive materials to draw, so I use a mechanical pencil, but any type of pencil you want to use is fine. And let's get started. So drawing can be very intimidating for people, so I'm just going to show you how I kind of work out ideas. When I first look at the subject that I'm going to be drawing, I look at the overall shape. So if you look at this cardinal, you can see that his head, I could roughly say that's a bit of a circle shape. His body is a bit of an oval, and then he's got, you know, these other shapes for his wing and his tail. So that's where I start. I just start out by sketching just very lightly an overall shape that's going to kind of guide me on the size. So this is about the size of his head, and then I'll start drawing in the shape of his body. Not worrying about anything looking like a bird at this point. I'm just trying to get my shape so that I don't have a little tiny head and a big huge body. I'm trying to get them correct in size and proportion. So that's how I start. And then I start refining things, and this is when I start almost looking at this in a grid shape. So my printer's really not so great, so it prints out all these lines on anything that I print out, which actually kind of helps. So I've already got these lines going this way, and if I think about lines going this way, this is how I start to kind of size up where things should end up being when I finish my drawing. It doesn't have to all be perfect. You can see from this one, this is one I just did a few minutes ago just to warm up, and I really do suggest that you take time to warm up, because sometimes you have to draw it a few times before you really feel comfortable with it. So you can see the proportion is not perfect, but if I painted that red, you would know it's a cardinal. So once I get these basic shapes, then I start coming in and refining. So I'm looking at this little tuft that is something that pretty much all cardinals have. So I'll go ahead and draw that in. And now I'm looking at where that's all lining up. So now I'm coming to his beak. And the beak, you can see here, it's not like beaks that we drew when we were, you know, 6. This one actually has a little curve to it. So I'm trying to get that as realistic as possible. And the bottom of the beak comes into his round head. So I'm going to go ahead, and at this point I'm drawing still lightly. So because I know I'm going to come back and refine it even more. So if I look up here to where this hit, the beak started to come out here, if I drew a straight line down here, I can see that this bottom protrudes a little more. So if I drew a straight line here, then this is where his body starts. And then as it comes down, about midway is when it starts to come back in towards his wings. So I'm just going to lightly draw that shape in. So once I have that information, I'm going to come back and start to refine. I'm going to give him his little mask, draw a circle shape for his eye for now, just to give it a placement. And just start refining things. So once I have his eye in, I can start to look at the distance between the back of his eye and the back of his head. So I see here that maybe I need to come out a little more. And this shape here, I can mimic that here, and you can see how it lines up. So about the bottom of his mask is where that shape ends, so I can mimic that here. And now I'm working on this shape right here. So bring that out. And if you look at from the end of his little tuft here is about where this wing begins. So I can line that up there. These are all just little gauges that you can use to make sure that you're staying in proportion and to make sure you draw lightly so that you can erase. So now I can start to kind of come back and erase some of my beginning lines as I've started to get more shape in this little fella. So it looks, I don't know if this is my printer, but there's some kind of something here. I'm just gonna put it in there just to help me. I don't know if it'll translate into my painting, but we're just at the drawing stage now. So now I'm thinking about this shape. So between this line and where that starts, that's what I'm drawing now. There's like a whole nother line of feathers here. So I'm going to put that in. And that's that shape there. So I've got that in. And now I'll start on this shape. And I don't worry too much about getting all of the feather shapes in yet. We're going to worry about that when we actually get to the painting process. For now, we don't need to get all those details in. So he's looking pretty good. And I'm going to now start to put in his tail. And just kind of judge if you look. So this is about actually the size of his body. So I want to bring that down at about the same height as I drew in his body. Alright, so now we can come back, or I'm going to come back and start to refine this beak. Cardinals, when you take pictures of them, they always look kind of angry. They're beautiful birds, but they have this funny shape on their beak. So when I'm painting them, I sometimes will not exactly follow that because I don't want my painting to look like it's angry. So taking a little liberty as an artist and making him less angry. And his eye. So I don't know if you guys can see this here. I'll repost a picture of this in the classroom as well. So you can see that the eye has a lining around it. Then there's the actual eyeball. And the eyes of an animal are what really just, when you paint them, it makes such a huge difference. So you really want to take your time getting the eye to be just so. So I've got that round shape around there, and then he's got a light that's hitting the eye. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that in and color in the eye just for the effect. And he is looking absolutely adorable. So I'm liking it so far. This is when I kind of start to edit. So on the picture, he's got his other wing on the other side of him is coming down here. And I'm thinking about when I paint this, that would actually kind of look awkward. And if I leave it out, if I edit it and just leave it completely out, no one is going to be the wiser. So it'll actually, your mind will just take over and say, okay, well, his other wing is back there where we can't see it. So these are the kind of edits you get to make when you're deciding on your painting. It just makes more sense to me to leave this back wing out. It won't add anything to the picture, and it certainly won't take anything away. So I'm deleting that from mine. And now we're going to do his little feet. And I find the feet of any animal the hardest part. So just judge the distance, just like you've done with everything else. And when you get to the actual little talons, whatever they're called, I don't know what you call cardinal feet, don't add a lot of detail, and we won't when we're painting as well. So as little detail as possible. And I'm going to go ahead and draw in this stick that or this branch that he's sitting on. And this is going to be included obviously in our painting as well. So I don't need a lot of detail with this. I'm just drawing in a shape just to indicate that that is a branch. And then we've got his other little footsie. And voila, we have got a drawing of a cardinal. So you can see how you could easily paint or draw any type of bird. They're all actually pretty similar. So really explore, draw a bunch of different birds. They're so popular right now in paintings and things, so fun to explore their shapes.